with us.
Since 2008, the month of June has been set aside annually to commemorate the World Sickle Cell Day in order to increase public knowledge and raise awareness of sickle cell disease and the struggles of those living with this, the patients. In the studio to help us discuss, we have Dr. Annette Akinchete, National Director, CEO, Sickle Cell Foundation, Nigeria. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Annette Ofunne.
Annette Ofunne.
I don't forget that bit.
Okay. You like your village name to come
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Sickle cell, it's one, a lot of people don't even like talking about it because they consider it very painful. I mean, before the era of education, they'll call it, Abiku. In some areas, they call it Abiku.
Or Banje, depending on where you come from.
Depending on where you come from. But what exactly, what's the survival rate? Let's talk about the hope, the beautiful side of it.
Yes, let's talk about the beautiful side of it. First and foremost, it's not a death sentence.
Yeah.
Okay, like years back when I was a medical student and Professor Kuti was our teacher, sickle cell was a pediatric illness. It was something you saw in children. But over the years, treatment protocols have improved. And we're seeing them now going to the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, later decades. We had a mama who died recently at the age of 94. So, you know...
Sickler?
Yes, hemoglobin SS.
Wow.
So the truth is, as long as they're properly managed, well treated, properly managed, it's not a stroll in the park, but if they're properly managed, they can live normal, productive lives.
It's the same thing you doctors say about diabetes, isn't it? If it's properly managed.
So we're looking at it that way now, as a chronic illness. It's not a death sentence. So this is what I would like to disabuse people's minds about, because people say, look, why would anybody, come together and have a child who has sickle cell? We're not advocating that you open your eyes and go into a relationship and have a child who has sickle cell. No. Remember, we're pushing for what we call newborn screening. This is what they have in the UK. They have it in America, and here in those places, they don't have 1/100th as much sickle cell as we have. And yet, when a child is born, the child is screened for sickle cell, amongst other genetic conditions. And sickle cell is the most common genetic condition in the world. And Nigeria has the highest burden of this sickle cell in the world. So we should be doing this newborn screening so that early on we all know what we are.
How is it that Nigeria has the highest burden of that?
Okay, remember our population, that's one. Okay, let's look at it. One thing I like to always show, we don't have a map here, but if you look at the map of malaria in the world, where you have malaria in the world, is across the tropics, right across the tropics.
Yeah.
If you superimpose the sickle cell map on that map, it's the same. So it's where you have malaria in the world that you also have sickle cell. And there's a reason for it. Nature, many eons ago, nature threw up a gene, we call it mutation in pathophysiology. The gene just changes for a reason, and that was nature's way of preserving the species, to see that this species lives. Because he was finding that those who were hemoglobin AA, that's a big word, I don't like using it, those who were normal were dying from malaria. Whereas when nature threw up this unusual hemoglobin S and combined it with A, they were living long. But I don't think nature reckoned with S and S coming together and having this sickle cell, which is what we're dealing with now. But we are improving, and there are better treatments. There's something we call hydroxyurea now, which we use, and if we are in treatment with hydroxyurea, which must be prescribed by your doctor and you have to be monitored, you do not have those crises that we talk about all the time. But they do well.
Things have improved in Nigeria since the days of calling sicklers Abiku. So why is it that families still don't screen? Young people still don't screen before they decide to go into marriage, even though the facilities are available now? Okay,
because, the answer is simple, Alero. Here in Nigeria, everything we do is out of pocket. Everything we do is out of pocket. This is something I would like to put at, yes it is. I would like to put us at the doorstep of government. I would like government to bring this sickle cell issue to the front burner, prioritize it, And like I said earlier, let us have what we call newborn screening, so that at birth, as in childhood, and even if you miss the newborn screening, in primary school, then in secondary school, so early on, they already know if they are carriers of the gene, if they have the trait. Like I have a trait, that is, you have A and S together. And so you know, oh, if I have a child with somebody like me, I could have a child with sickle cell. So you are educated already. By the time, most churches now are asking or demanding that couples who are carriers do not come to say they want to get married. They will marry you. But you know what they do? They go behind and get fictitious documents. Because this thing called love is not it's not logic. You see what I mean? It's not logic. So let us know in time. And you're not going to put that responsibility on parents. It's something that government should do. Just like we have the routine immunizations, let us also have newborn screening. I'm sure you probably heard about the bill in the Senate, a bill on sickle cell in the Senate, but we actually faulted that bill because it's not comprehensive. It's not looking at all aspects of sickle cell, from prevention to treatment to cure. You should look at all aspects. Because it's also, yes, there is a cure for sickle cell. There are cures for sickle cell. We can talk about that if time permits. Okay, but because what they're talking about in that bill is really saying that Ministry of Health should register hospitals and accredit them for treating sickle cell. No, Ministry of Health in Abuja does not register hospitals in Lagos State and Edo State. No, that's not how it works.
Or in the rural areas.
Not at all. And if you make laws, you should carry people along. So there wasn't adequate consultation. We didn't know what they were doing about sickle cell. Federal Ministry of Health did not know what they were doing about the sickle cell bill. So there wasn't adequate consultation. Yet we need legislation. We need comprehensive legislation so that important things are said and carried out for sickle cell and made responsibility of government. It shouldn't be parents. Parents who come to me and say, doctor, I cannot buy folic acid for my child. And this is what the child should take every single day of their life or they die. Because I have to give my child food first. So we as NGOs, we have kind of seen that gap and jumped into it to fill the gap. Because government has their priorities, but they have not prioritized sickle cell, which it should. So we have filled that gap and go cap in hand, looking for money to procure these medicines, to give it free to these children.
Folic acid.
Folic acid and malaria prophylaxis, because they must not have malaria. It brings those crises on. And we talked about the cure. Bone marrow transplantation is a cure.
Okay.
Stem cell transplantation. It is. Okay. They're accessing it abroad, but we in our center, we're bringing that to Nigeria so that Nigerians can access it locally. And it will be less expensive.
Your foundation is spearheading awareness about sickle cell.
Exactly.
How successful has that been? Has there been any reduction in the number of people who have the disease?
Who have the reduction? You see, the thing about sickle cell is if you do, like we go out and do tests, but it's a snapshot in time. To see, and it doesn't give you what we call incidence, how many new people are getting this disease, okay? But we have an estimate that 150,000 babies are born every year in Nigeria with sickle cell anemia, sickle cell disorder. 150,000 are born SS, hemoglobin SS. But about 100,000 of them do not live to the age of 5. Ouch. They die off before the age of 5. And that's because, one, they don't recognize it in time. The treatments are not readily available. The treatment is out of pocket. So these are the things we would like to be in that bill. Let there be a law that says children under 5 are treated free if they have sickle cell disorder. And we're talking a lot about, this is the era of Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. And goal number 3 is dealing with health. And under that goal number 3 is the target that says we want to reduce the deaths of children under 5. And we're saying these are low-hanging fruits. If you can save those children who die, 100,000 children who die from sickle cell, if we target sickle cell, then they are low-hanging fruits for us. And we can easily achieve that target for under 5 mortality. There's so much we can do. And in terms of a cure, we're not asking government to support us because we know government can't do everything. But I must commend Lagos State government for supporting Sickle Cell Foundation to put up the bone marrow transplant center. And I think before the end of the year, it should be up and running. And that's a cure for sickle cell. Where is it going to be? in Louth, opposite us.
In Louth, okay.
Because we are across from Louth, but it's a Sickle Cell Foundation Nigeria, Louth venture. Yes.
Okay. While that is going on, at the moment, what's the center doing for
sickle cell?
For sickle cell.
The center is the first of its kind in the whole of Africa. A lot of research is already going on. That is on the side. But there's also service. And in the area of prevention, I was talking about prevention. People say, okay, there are different types of prevention. There's what we call primordial prevention. You don't want that gene to be in circulation at all. But we can't do that. We've passed that. The gene is already in circulation. But there's primary prevention. That is how do we get those who have the gene not to pass it to their progeny? Well, that is what we do when we do genetic counseling. Genetic counseling happens at the center every day of the week from 8 to 5. I will tell everyone who cares to listen and on all our platforms and our sickle cell clubs everywhere in Nigeria to say we have very excellent genetic counselors, and they counsel not just couples who are prospective getting preparing to marry, but those who are young. Just anyone you can walk in, and then we take it out as well to schools, to young people, to educate them early. So that's what we do in the area of prevention through genetic counseling.
Do you also do things like helping people find out what their genotypes are?
Yes, we have laboratories, state-of-the-art laboratories.
Okay.
But you see, that's what I'm saying. We have to pay for these tests. The onus is on the people to find out what they are.
Yeah.
But other than saying we help many who are indigent, but another problem we have is supervision of the laboratories. We have laboratories that we are sure that when we give you this test result, it is correct. But there are some people who come to our facilities to say, I'm told I am AA, but they're AS. And so they have a child with someone who's, and this has brought about disruption in families and marriages because there's distrust. Whereas it's no fault of theirs. But luckily we've been able to step in and help families get back together because we've told them that, look, your result was inaccurate all along. We have a reference laboratory where we have different levels of validation. So that your test is correct.
This thing called love. I know of a couple, they were both aware before they got married. But, we used to hear that the possibility is that of every 4 children,
yes,
you'll have one who is SS.
Yes.
Unfortunately for them, they had the first one, SS, then they had a pair of twins, SS. So they have 3 children
who are SS. That's the truth. Because that's another myth that we also debunk, because
Please.
People say...
Debunk it loudly.
Loud and clear.
Yes.
Okay, it is in every pregnancy. It's a game of chance, really, but it's like the mother is offered like a lucky dip. 4 papers, choose one. She can choose sickle cell the first time. The second pregnancy, she can choose sickle cell
again.
The third pregnancy, the same. I had a family when I was in medical school in my rural posting in Ibora. 7 children, all SS.
Oh, God.
7 children, all SS. So it's not, I have 4 children. I've had my first child, who's already SS. The rest are going to be okay. That's not the way it works. It is a question of chance. It's 1 in 4 chance for a couple who are both carriers of the gene.
But are people becoming more aware?
People are getting more aware. You know why I will tell you that? As a very young doctor when Secretariat was still in Ikoyi with Professor Kuti, we had a huge survey all over Nigeria where we did it to find out how much sickle cell and how much of other non-communicable diseases we had. At the time, they hid their children. They wouldn't even tell you that. So it was neighbors who would whisper to you, there's something like a banji in that family, there's, But now when we go out to communities, they bring their children and say, we have this child has sickle cell. So it's not empirical, but I can tell you by what I see compared with 20, 30 years ago, that things have improved in that regard.
Thank you so much,
Yes.
Dr. Annette Ofunne Akinshete,
Thank
National Director, CEO, Sickle Cell Foundation, Nigeria. That's at Idiaraba, right?
Yes, right opposite Louth.
Louth. So you want to find out more about the Sickle Cell Foundation Center, get to Idiaraba, opposite Louth.
We also want to speak about COVID and sickle cell.
We really run out of time.
Okay.
We really have to
because
go.
this is the season of COVID, so that they know that there's what they call shielding in addition to what everybody else is doing, they need to shield themselves even further. Another layer of protection. Do not go out at all, except absolutely necessary. So
Thank
we
you.
take their medication and other palliatives to them in their homes.
Thank you very much, Dr. Annette Ofunne Akinshese. Thank you for coming around today.
Thank you.
So, as we'll be back for another interesting conversation. Please stay.